Hi guys, it's me, Mr Yeates, and welcome to Ponding. Guys, this here is a water feature I built a few years ago, and although it's not a pond, it brings nature into the garden. Birds will bath in it, and it'll attract a lot of flies and insects and all types of things like that, and the dog, which you might see in a minute. The water feature uses things that you traditionally see with a pond. One is water, obviously. The second one is there's a liner in there. Don't know if you can see that. And also there is a pump, which is probably the most expensive part of the pond, which circulates the water from the reservoir. It pumps the water back up, round to come back down the water feature again. And it just keeps circulating the water around and around and around. But it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be an expensive thing to bring nature into your garden or to keep nature into your garden, because nature will find water if it's there consistently. So what I'm going to do is show you how you might be able to create your own nature pond, and then after that have a good look at the nature that's coming into your garden or living in your garden over the next few weeks, out of something you might just find in the house. Okay. If you're lucky enough to have a garden and you're lucky enough to have some of these things you might be able to use, then you might want to watch the next couple of editions of Ponding with Mr Yeates. Hi guys, this is my nature pond. I put this in last year, just some pond liner in a hole lined with some bark, some flint, or stones really, bits of wood. There's some plants here to give nature coverage, but it's a great way of keeping nature in your garden or bringing nature into your garden. And I'm going to show you how to make one of these with not pond liner in fact, but with something you might have laying around the house. Hi guys, so this is what I'm going to use to build our nature pond that we're going to kind of look in on over the next few weeks. This is a plastic tub, I think it's from IKEA. It was part of like a storage unit for the kids' toys. So we're going to use this as our pond. It's quite a deep one, because you could use you could use some Tupperware, or you could use a tyre. Not a lot of us will have those laying around though, mind you. And you can push it into the tyre pond liner or some tarpaulin. If you haven't got pond liner, you could use some plastic. As long as it's waterproof, there's not a problem. Okay, but we're going to use this. If you use a plant pot, it'll probably have holes in the bottom of it, so you'd have to seal it. But really, plastic is durable. We just have to make sure that we put things in this that will allow nature to crawl out of it once it's got in. Okay, so you're going to need your pond liner or your plastic tarpaulin or your box, like plastic box like this. You're going to need a fork and a spade to do the next bit. Catch you in a moment. Hi guys, so I've upended the pond box here, so I can make a shape of what I need to cut out. Okay, so we don't want to be digging for no reason. Find yourself, something that will allow you to cut into the earth or wherever you're going to put your pond. So once you've got your location, upend your tub, take the tub away, and I'm going to start digging this out with a fork. First of all, to loosen the soil. I've got my spade there as well. You might want to get an adult to help you with this or to supervise this, okay, because these are quite sharp or dangerous tools if they're not used properly. You don't want to be putting a fork through your foot. Okay, so see you in a minute guys. Hi guys, so that's the pond now in situ with the earth backfilled around it, make it nice and compact, so you can see that the ridge of the pond is level with the earth around it, obviously, because you want the creatures and insects to be able to actually come in. We're going to need to put some things into the pond to make one sort of area a little bit shallower, and also to put some things in there where it's going to allow them to crawl out of the pond once they're in. So what we need to fill it up with, if we can, is rainwater. That you might have in a watering can that's already sitting outside. It's been sitting there for a while. A little bit difficult to find at the moment because we haven't had a lot of rain, haven't had much rain recently. Water from a water butt would also be excellent as well. In fact, that will already have things living in it. But if all else fails, just use tap water. But what we're really after for using in our pond is rainwater or water from a water butt. So let's go and have a look like a water butt. Not like a water butt, at a water butt. Nice. Hi guys, so that's my watering can filled up with water from the water butt here. But if you haven't got a water butt, don't worry. Just use tap water. Fill it up via your garden hose. Or if you can, find some water that's in the garden. A bit difficult in this weather, but if you can, then use that as well. Okay, but don't worry too much. Let's just get our pond filled up now, yeah? As you can see, the pond is now full up with water. What we've got to do next is to surround it with some stones, some bark, some logs, some bits of wood, just some things that will enable the insects to say take cover and hide if they want to, hide away if they want to. I might even see if I can put some long grass or just some bits around it, some natural plants around the outside, just to entice them into the water. Also, we mustn't forget not to put some things into the water to allow nature, because it's quite deep. So one end will be shallower than the other, with things to climb out of the pool. Okay, see you in a bit once I've decorated it with my little bits and bobs. Hi guys, so I've had a little forage around the garden. These are the things that I'm going to put around the pool. As you can see, there's one piece there already, so it's quite a hefty little bit of rotten old tree stump. And then I've got some old broken paving slabs as well. Some bits of some bark, some stones, larger stones, and just a few sawn sort of logs here. I do appreciate that you won't mind. I find these things around the garden. But anything just to try and give a little bit of coverage, allow the insects and creatures to get in and out. So what I'm going to do is place these around the pond and then give you a little look in a second. Hi guys, so here is my nature pond, now sort of surrounded with some wood, some pavers, bits of cut log. I've made sure I've got a couple of items that are in the water to allow the nature to get out and crawl out. I've put some bricks down this end here, so this end here is shallower, and so there's things there that allow them to get out. What you could do, you could even go around the garden and just don't dig stuff up that you're not allowed to dig up, but sometimes just digging up some weeds or some long grass, you know, things, just put them around the outside just to create a little bit more coverage. You can see this plant is quite near this second nature pond, but I might just put a few little weeds in from my front garden in there, just to encourage the wildlife there. Okay, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my nature pond, and then in about 3 days time we're going to come back to it and see what it looks like. Okay, and what I'd like you to do, if you build yourself a nature pond, take some pictures or do a little video, and I'll show you in the next few days how to make a net, just in case you haven't got one, so you can actually have a quick look around and collect what sort of things you have in there living in your pond, and we can sort of do a weekly spot check. Okay, so take care from me, stay safe, stay in, but stay active. Hi guys, so the first thing you need to do to build your nature pond is, number one, find a container, an old sink, an old washing up bowl, but something that is watertight. Number two, choose a spot in the garden for your pond, somewhere where it will get some light, but also not light all day, and make sure that once you've, it's a good spot, because once you fill up with the water it can be very difficult to move and empty. Number three, health and safety. Make sure that if you do have any young siblings or anyone in the family well, water will be a danger to, then you must make sure it is placed in an adequate place and isn't too deep. Number four, once you've chosen your spot and you've agreed it with your parents, make sure that you dig the hole to the side of the container. Try and get the container sides level with the earth, with the ground. Imagine if you're a small frog and you want to get in or out, or you're a nymph, or you're a little diving beetle, you'll need to be able to get in and out quite easily. So think about preparing the hole deep enough so that the pond is level with the ground. Number two, of number four, make sure that any holes or any gaps that are in the container, particularly if it's an old washing up sink or something like that, then you need to plug those holes, make sure they're watertight. Three, don't fill it with soil, because soil's got tons of nutrients in it which will create lots of algae across your pond. As a rule, a pond, only 1/3 of the pond surface should be covered with plants. Okay, so don't put earth in it. If you've got any gravel, you could put it at the bottom, but otherwise just leave it, and get that pond in and start filling. Number five was, when you fill up your pond, try and use rainwater or water from a water butt, not from the kitchen tap if you can avoid it. Okay, but that's only if you've got access to rainwater and a water butt. Otherwise, don't worry too much. Number six, see if you can plant some plants around the edge of the pond if you can, to provide coverage. Ideally, you'd like some sort of aquatic plant to help keep the water oxygenated and clear, but that's very difficult to do at the moment in the lockdown. But try and put some marginal plants around the outside of the pond for coverage, so the little dudes can hide if they want to. Number 7, at this point, even if you had to fill it up with tap water, put some containers out now, or some buckets, or some containers to collect some rainwater, so when you need to top your pond up, you can use it using that. That would be best. Number 8, be patient when waiting for wildlife to come into your pond. Don't be tempted to go out and bring wildlife into your pond from outside. Nature will find your pond, and that's the exciting thing about this project, is seeing the creatures that will gradually take up residence in your pond over the next few weeks. And we could do something called pond dipping, where I'll teach you how to make a little net, or you might have one already, where you can just have a little sweep around and see the creatures that are actually living in your pond, and a bit of pond dipping. Yes.